Okay, so we will continue with our discussion. So now we are on our chapter 2 and we will discuss about the variables. Let us define first, or okay, let us read what is written on the presentation. It is sometimes taught as a mathematical jando because you can use it as a placeholder when you want to talk about something, but either you imagine that it has one or more values but you don't know what they are, or you want whatever you say about it to be equally true for all elements in a given set, and so you don't want to be restricted to considering only a particular concrete value for it. So variables, in a simple word, is the substitution, or tawag nga dyan na parang kung sa English is pronoun. Ayan, sila yung pampasimple. For example, sa halip na magsulat tayo ng sobrang haba na data, pwede natin siyang palitan ng kung sa pinag-usapan natin is algebra, letters, variables. Ayan. So, sinasabi ko kanina, yung pwede natin palitan yung phrase ng variable, yung letter. Consider natin itong situation na to. Is there a number with the following property? Doubling it and adding 3 gives the same result as squaring it. Okay, in this sentence, you can introduce a variable to replace the potentially ambiguous word it. So what do you think will be a good replacement doon sa it? So kapag kalimitan kasi pag variable sa pinag-uusapan na unang-una agad may isip is si x. Ayan. So try natin ipalit si x doon sa it. So that will be x. Ayan. Na-consider natin yung situation. The doubling it. That is the first situation. So, pag sabing double, so i-multiply natin siya sa 2. So, that will be 2x. Ayan. Tapos, meron dong adding 3. So, that will be 2x plus 3. Gives the same result as squaring it. So, ano kayong square natin? Of course, that will be yung pinalitan natin, yung it that is x. So that will be 2x plus 3 is equal to x squared. Now, isa ulit natin. Yung it pinalitan natin ng x, then consider natin yung situation na doubling it, that will be times 2, that is 2x. And then, dun tayo sa sunod, adding 3, that will be 2x plus 3, and then squaring it will be 2x plus 3 equals x squared. Yan. So another one, is there a number x with the property that 2x plus 3 equals x squared? Yan. The advantage of using variables is that it allows you to give a temporary name to what you are seeking so that you can perform concrete computation with it to help discover its possible values. So when we say kasi variables, yan yung unknown natin. Hindi pa natin alam kung ano yung i-assign nating value. So mag-undergo pa tayo dyan ng computation. So sabi nga, ang variable is a good temporary name to what you are seeking, so that makapag-perform ka ng concrete computation. Okay. Is there a number x with the property 2x plus 3 equals x squared? So, ginawa na siyang box yung x natin. The emptiness of the box can help you imagine filling it in with a variety of different values. And that is the function of variable, since we didn't know pa kung ano yung um, values niya. So, ano yan? Finite, ano, finite, infinite, yung pwede maging values niya. Some of which might make the two sides equal and others of which might not. Ayan. So, you may solve naman para malaman nyo what is the value ng x. So, perform nyo lang yung process na ginagamit sa algebra. Okay. Important kinds of mathematical statements. We have these three most important kinds of sentences in mathematics. Ayan. So, first one is the universal statement. Number 2 is conditional statement, and number 3 is existential statement. When we say universal statements, that is a certain property which is true for all elements in set. Meron tayong example. All positives, all positive numbers are greater than 0. So, yung sa universal natin, meron tayong keyword, yung all. Okay? Yun yung keyword natin sa universal, all. All positive numbers are greater than 0. Parang generalize niya. Yun yung sa universal statements. So, tatandaan nyo lang kasi sa statements is their keywords. Kapag generalize siya, that is universal. Dito naman sa conditional, the conditional statement says that if one thing is true, then some other things also has to be true. Yan. Example, if 378 is divisible by 18, then 378 is divisible by 6. So, what is the keyword? Since conditional yan, logically speaking na rin, pag conditional, meron tayong if and then. Yun yung keyword na tatandaan lang natin. Existential. Given a property that may or may not be true, an existential statement says that there is at least one thing for which the property is true. Example, there is a prime number that is 7. Ayan. You may observe naman yung kanyang keyword na ginamit, there is. Okay? Kasi nga, an existential statement is a statement that is true if there is at least one variable within the variable's domain for which the statement is true. So, take note about yung sa difference between these three statements. Again, we have three statements which are the universal statement, conditional statement, and existential statements. Now, the question is, can we combine these statements? Yes, of course, we can combine these statements. So, here are the combination of the statements. We have universal conditional, universal existential, and existential universal. So, kung mapapansin natin, ang always present is the universal statement combined with different statements. We have the universal conditional, universal existential, and existential universal statements. First, let's have the universal conditional statement. It is a statement that is both universal and conditional, of course. So, i-combine lang natin yung ating observation kanina doon sa universal and conditional. Ayan. For all. Ayan. Animals A, if A is a dog, then A is mammal. Ayan. Again, for all animals A, if A is a dog, then A is mammal. So how can we say na mayroong universal dyan? Yung for all. Paano naman masabi natin na may conditional dyan? Yung if and then. Okay? Ayan. So meron tayong combination of universal conditional statement. Okay. Again, these statements can be written in ways that make them appear purely universal or purely conditional. Yun lang ang tatandaan nyo. Example. Ayan. Yun pa rin ang binikin example. Ano? For all animals, A, if A is a dog, then A is a mammal. Ayan. Consider natin yun doon sa pangalawang statement na binasa ko kanina. This statement can be written in ways that make them appear purely universal or purely conditional. Kagaya niyan. If A is a dog, then A is a mammal. That is purely conditional. Or, if an animal is a dog, then the animal is a mammal. Good. So, from universal to conditional statement, pwede natin siya i-rewrite into pure universal or pure conditional. Kaya yung ating example doon sa universal conditional statement, nire-write natin siya into pure conditional. Yun nga. So, yung if A is a dog, then A is a mammal. Or if an animal is a dog, then the animal is a mammal. Sa sunod kasi yan, pag ginamitan na natin siya ng mga connectives is mga letters na lang yan sa sunod. Okay, next is the universal conditional statements. Doon pa rin pala tayo. Kala next na. Ayan. So, meron tayo ditong parang activity. Example niya. Fill in the blanks to rewrite the following statement. Ayan. So, meron tayong given. For all real number x, if x is non-zero, then x squared is positive. So, doon kayo base sa taas. That is an example of universal conditional. So, rewrite lang natin into conditional statement. If real number is non-zero, then its square, ano kaya? Okay, sagutan nyo. Try nyo sagutan sa papel nyo. For all non-zero real numbers, x blank, if x, then letter D, the square of non-zero real number is, and the last one, all non-zero real numbers have. Yan. If real number is non-zero, then its square is positive. For all non-zero real number x, x squared is positive. So, given na yan, nandun this statement, hindi kayo mawawala. Next one, if x is a non-zero real number, then x squared is positive. The square of non-zero real number is positive. All non-zero real numbers have positive squares. Next is universal existential statements. It is a statement that is universal because its first part says that a certain property is true for all objects of a given type, that is universal. And it's existential because its second part asserts the existence of something. Example, every, that is universal. Real number has, that is existential. Doon nagpapakita tayo existential. Has an additive inverse. Ulitin ko, no? Doon pa lang sa keyword na every, papakita na siya ng universal. Tapos yung sa has, existential. Okay. Every real number has an additive inverse. Pwede natin siyang i-rewrite sa all real numbers have additive inverses. Yan. Or, for all real numbers R, there is an additive inverse for R. So, pwede natin siyang i-rewrite into different positions ng words, pero still that is universal existential statements. Ayan, meron pa isa. For all real numbers R, there is a real number S such that S is an additive inverse for R. So let's try to answer this one. Fill in the blanks to rewrite the following statement. Every path has a lead. Okay. All paths, letter B, for all paths P, there is a blank. For all paths P, there is a lead L such that blank. Okay, let's answer the first one. All paths have leads. Okay. Kailangan ko talagang grammatically correct din dapat. Kasi dun sa una is every path has a lead. So, singular yung sa ginamit niya. So, ngayon, all paths have leads. Okay, next one. For all paths P, there is a lead for P. And letter C, for all paths P, there is a lead L such that L is a lead for P. Okay? Again, dun nyo lang i-base ang sagot niya sa given. Kailangan nyo lang alamin kung paano nilalaro yung words. Yan. Last one is the existential universal statement. An existential universal statement is a statement that is existential because its first part asserts that a certain object exists and is universal because its second part says that the object satisfies a certain property for all things of a certain kind. Example, there is a positive integer that is existential that is less than or equal to every universal positive integer. Rewrite natin. Yun ulit. Okay, some positive integer is less than or equal to every positive integer. Okay, next. Or there is a positive integer m that is less than or equal to every positive integer. There is a positive integer m such that every positive integer is greater than or equal to m. Pinag-iba-iba lang sila or minsan is pinapahaba lang, but then still that is the same yung thought ng kanilang statement. That is still existential and universal statement. Ang kwan lang dyan is wag kayong yung keywords tatandaan nyo lang. Baka sabihin nyo yung some is for the existential part nyo kasi may nag-exist pa rin. Ayan. Okay, let's try to answer this one. Given natin, statement na existential and universal is there is a person in my class who is at least as old as every person in my class. Okay? So, let's try to answer the first one. Some blank is at least as old as blank. Letter B, there is a person P in my class such that P is blank. Yan, nagkaroon na tayo ng variables doon. There is a person P in my class with the property that for every person Q in my class, P is blank. Yan. So, the answer for letter A is some person in my class is at least as old as every person in my class. Okay, next. There is a person P in my class such that P is at least as old as every person in my class. Okay, letter C. There is a person P in my class with the property that for every person Q in my class, P is at least as old as Q. Kalimitan kasi when it comes to statements, ang kalimitan dyan na ginagamit na variables is P, Q, R, S. Yan. Kung sa algebra, ang kalimitan ginagamit is X, Y, Z. Dito naman is more on PQRS yung ginagamit. Yan. So that is the end of chapter first part of chapter 2. So let's proceed with the next one on the next presentation.